I've been debating whether I should go into the dangers and the benefits of AI because we've been testing all these tools. Um, and I may do a piece on that. So, one realization that I've had is that the AI tools are not analytical tools, they're actually portfolio management tools. That it's very dangerous to have a team of analysts that use these AI tools to build bodies of work. Part of the reason is A, these tools are often wrong. B, it hasn't escaped management teams, at least the smart ones, that people are starting to do that. So deception and theatricality might be increasing from the management team level. Let's not forget that we do analysis on data and information that they give us, and they have their own incentives to think about. Okay, so be careful using these tools. I think there is a usage for them, but I had an interesting anecdote happen to me last week. So a friend of mine that writes routinely 30, 40 page investment memos that are really, really good. He sends me a memo and I go through it and I'm testing out ODR. So I put the memo in ODR and I ask them for the insights. I get the insights. My buddy calls me and we have a 30-minute conversation that was actually really good. We went down to the weaknesses and strengths of the idea as an action plan on field work and tracking work and behavioral work to do. We set up, I'm actually facing a timeline on the idea right now. Okay, like we're working on it. And then he tells me the punchline. He used ODR, OpenAI Deep Research, to actually write the memo. So he put a lot of his memos in it. It says, hey, here's a ticker, write a memo according to this based on the data you I mean, I was like, wait a second, who's doing the work? I used it to read the memo. He used it to write it. And so it was one of those AI versus AI things. Um, if you're going to use these tools, you better know the weaknesses of them, okay? Because AI, whatever field is gone into, for example, I used to be a professional backgammon player when I was a kid. The first neural nets were actually built to play backgammon at IBM by a guy called Gerard Tesoro, a program called TD Gammon. There's been books written about it. In fact, one of my mentors, Bill Roberti, wrote a book called Playing Against the Machine, which is an amazing book. So AI disrupted backgammon, okay? The same way it disrupted chess, the same way it disrupted Go, the same way it's disrupting poker. You have to know how to compete against the AI. You have to know how to compete against a man and AI together. There are some real issues here. I am not a fan of teams that use them right now. You have to be very, very careful with them. I'm amazed by some of the use cases, by the way. And in fact, let me talk about something else. There's a generational battle happening right now. It ends up that the Gen Z and younger millennials, they were trained at a time when they only used the digital tools. Whereas the older millennials and Gen X, we were trained using analog tools, but then we learned how to use the digital tools. So we use both the analog and the digital. And we're starting to see that it's players in all these different games and in the investment games that are both using the analog tools and the digital tools that have an edge over the guys that only use the digital tools. Okay? So be careful using them. Actually, again, forgive me. You know what? I will fucking go into it. So okay. There are some analytical superpowers that you need to have that I think the AI tools take away. One of them is insight generation. the ability to generate insights without constraints. The second is recall. So some of the best analysts you speak with, you'll mention something and they're like, yeah, I read a 10K on that thing 10 years ago, and they actually remember what they read. Recall is extremely important for pattern recognition. Okay. And the third that I think these AI tools take away is the ability to visualize under constraints. Can you actually read a 10K in a room by yourself and actually visualize the business competing, visualize the business dealing with the customer? Very powerful. Especially, can you visualize a portfolio? I'm terrible, okay? Like I'll be with my family at lunch and they're talking about something I have no interest in. And in my mind, I'm going through my exposures, long and short. Okay. I'm a disaster with this stuff. I'll be with a friend of mine. She's talking about the yoga she does, and I'm replaying the conference call in my head that I was on that morning and what I did right, what I did wrong. That ability to visualize the constraints is extremely powerful.